Hello, happy campers. I'm Spike.
I'm Chris.
That's Chris. We're recording now, essentially. This is our reactions to Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker for everybody who's confused about this. Now, I'm going to go ahead and now, of course, I'm not going to toot my own horn too much, but I'm going to let Chris give his reaction first, and then I'm going to talk as a non-Star Wars guy. So, Chris, go ahead and give your reaction on Rise of Skywalker, The Rise of Skywalker, Rise of the Skywalker, whatever this is.
Whatever it is, yeah.
Episode 9, finally done. The whole thing's over. What are you thinking?
So a lot of people's going to be mad about this, and a lot of people's going to be okay with it. I am one of those that is okay with everything about how it ended, because this is the last movie, to finish out the saga. I actually enjoyed it. I mean, without giving away a lot to the plot and stuff, this movie was all over the place, and there is things that you will not like about it, but to be honest, I really enjoyed it. To me, it's kind of like everybody's acting like a bunch of teenagers that it has mommy and daddy issues, and
Which is pretty much your typical Star Wars geek anyway.
I mean, it was just like, you have issues, and you have issues. If we all sat down and sang Kumbaya, maybe everything would be all right, or smoke some weed. I don't know, but I really did enjoy it. To me, it's kind of like Last Jedi. It's like there's a couple of things with the last one where in Last Jedi there was some good parts, and then there were some parts that you was like, eh. And that's exactly what this one did to me. So, other than that, I have to say I liked it. It was good.
Would you see it again? Full price?
Oh,
Would you pay to see it again?
with this one, I could see Force Awakens over and over again. I could see Last Jedi at least 2 or 3 more times because of some of the images and stuff in it that I thought was really great. This one was kind of draggy, and I kind of got a little tired just sitting there watching it because it was all dark and gloomy, and there was a lot of scenes that was dark and gloomy. So honestly, no, I would not.
Okay, fair enough.
To be honest.
Okay. But your final say is this one is worth watching at least once, especially if you're a Star Wars fan.
If you want to finish the saga and see how the whole story turns out, then yes. It did though. I will have to say, there is one part of the movie that I am totally lost on, because this is supposed to be the end. But there's a part, and I'm not giving nothing away, but there's a new character in the movie. You have, what's the name? Orlando? Billy D. Williams?
Lando Calrissian, yeah.
Lando. Yeah. I keep on saying Orlando for some reason. No, that's not right. But Lando says, to some girl, find out what her story is. And it's like, well, what the hell's that all about? Like, seriously, I don't know what the hell that's all about.
Sequel bait.
I mean, that's what it seems like, that they are giving away for a sequel, but it's like, we don't even know who this girl is, and this girl does not give enough in this movie to literally tell you much about her.
Or really to give a damn either way.
Exactly. Like, I don't give a damn who this girl is at all. Like, there's no, like, and then they do that, and I'm like, wait, scratch my head. But I will say that there was a part that really kind of broke my heart, and it has to do with Chewie and his breakdown. I was like, wow, that's the first time ever. They didn't do it in the first one, which they should have done in Force Awakens when Han Solo died, but they didn't. I'm glad they did it in this one. So anyway, yeah, that's it.
All right. Well, let me hand this off. We'll swap over. Let me give you the correct answer if you're a non-Star Wars fan. Okay, Star Wars Episode 9, Rise of Skywalker. trying to remember all of this stuff. Okay. First off, if you're going to ask, should you watch it? Yeah, you should watch it. Okay. If you're a Star Wars fan, yeah, you should watch it. Okay, because this settles a lot of the scores and answers a lot of the questions from the last two movies. This movie is better than the last movie. Okay, I think The Last Jedi was a waste of celluloid, and Ryan Johnson's going to rot in hell for what he did to the franchise, but hey, that's my opinion. This movie is better than the last 5 Star Wars movies put together, and I'm going to be in the minority opinion on this. I don't care. I'm speaking as a non-Star Wars guy. For people who are Star Wars geeks, no problem. I understand. I'm a Star Trek guy, okay? Let me explain something here, and very few people say this. I'm going to come right out and say it. It's great unspoken truth about Star Trek and Star Wars fans, okay? Star Trek fans are sci-fi fans, okay? We like science fiction. Star Wars is fantasy, okay? The two worlds always get lumped together, but they are still two different worlds, okay? If you like the fantasy, you're going to like this. If you like Star Wars, you're going to like this. Is this the best of the movies? No. Empire Strikes Back was the best of the movies, followed by A New Hope. I would actually put this one probably 3rd or 4th behind The Force Awakens and maybe Return of the Jedi. It's going to be real close with Return of the Jedi, because Return of the Jedi, yub. Anyway, not to get too spoilerific, but there are tons and tons and tons of callbacks throughout this movie to the original trilogy. And I don't mean episodes 1 through 3. I mean
Let's not talk about those.
Trilogy. As far as I'm concerned, episodes 1, 2, and 3 don't
exist.
Okay, they serve no purpose.
And that's how every Star Wars fan actually feels, to be honest.
And like I said, I'm not a Star Wars fan, so I don't mind coming straight out and saying the god-awful truth. Star Wars episodes 1 through 3 were a money grab and were a waste of time. Episode 7 was alright. Episode 8 was a waste of time. This one is the best one. This is the only one of all of the sequels, all 6 sequels. To me, this is the only one that comes anywhere close to the original 3, mainly because of all the callbacks, and mainly because this it puts paid to the entire Skywalker saga. Remember, all 9 of these movies are about the Skywalkers. It's either about Anakin Skywalker or Luke Skywalker or Leia Skywalker or Ben Skywalker. No, I won't go spoilerific on the other Skywalker. Anyway. Needless to say, one thing, looking at this, I have noticed there are several things in there. The J.J. Abrams camera flares are back.
I knew you was going to say something about that.
It's just like a dog pissing on a fire hydrant. He has to have the lens flare in there. And
not to mention all the callbacks to his other stuff, like Lost.
You'll see several Lost alumni in this movie. I honestly don't know if Dominic Monaghan has pictures of him or what, but hey, maybe he's with a bantha or something. But all in all, I would say this one is worth checking out. I do have 2 questions, though. First off, what is it about the dark side that makes everybody's noses go big? Everybody on the dark side in this movie has a honker about the size of Brooklyn, okay? I don't understand it. Kylo Ren has a huge nose. Emperor Palpatine has a huge nose. Oh, Emperor Palpatine's alive. Non-spoilers, okay? So that's one. And the other, is it possible? Is it all possible for somebody to explain the Force Ghost to me? They didn't use it they don't use it in most of the Star Wars movies, to be honest, and it is an incredible plot device. You have essentially everybody who has ever been you have ever held precious to you, who's in any way adept in the Force, is available to you as a Force ghost. We saw that in A New Hope, the original Star Wars, when you heard Obi-Wan Kenobi, that's when Luke Skywalker heard him. And we saw that in Return of the Jedi when he looked up and saw it was Obi-Wan and what was it, Yoda and his dad, Anakin Skywalker, Darth Vader was there. And in this one, we actually get to see Force ghosts again. And sure enough, it actually helps move the plot along because it explains to some of these characters, hey, you need to focus. This is what's important.
That's true.
I'm dead now. I got no stake in this anymore. This is what you should be checking out. So
Exactly.
those are the two main things, two main questions I wanted to ask. As for all the little drops, Chris hinted at one sequel drop there. She didn't the big problem with that is, first off, Billy Dee's in this one. Billy Dee actually plays a sizable role in this one, and it's great to see because out of everybody from the original trilogy, he and Chewbacca are about the only ones left. Leia's still there. And it's not spoilerific to say that Carrie Fisher passed away between the movies. Just know that that's addressed in this movie.
Her daughter's in that too.
What?
Carrie Fisher's daughter has been in the last 3.
I believe it. I don't know who she is. I don't care.
She was the one that was like, "Hey, General, I got this message." I don't know. Anyway.
I can't argue with that. Nepotism lives. It's one of the great things about Hollywood. But anyway, so by and large, I wouldn't. I'm not going to go around and give it a letter grade like A, B, C, D, or F. I wouldn't do that. I would borrow a device from the late great Siskel and Ebert and give it a thumbs up. It is worth watching. Is it worth repeat watching? If you're a Star Wars fan, you're either going to love it or you're going to hate it. But the fact that it gives you so much closure, and yes, it gives you closure, it's probably going to be a welcome addition to your library. As a non-Star Wars fan, this is probably one of the 4 worth watching out of the entire movie.
There is one other question I do have.
Yes, before we wrap this up.
And it confuses me because Finn in the movie, and I'm going to give this one away because
Spoiler.
it's addressed.
Spoiler.
But Finn
Spoiler.
apparently has a connection with the Force because there's many moments where he has that look on his face like, oh, Ren's alive, or oh, Ren's doing this, or there's something wrong. And it's like, when did he get the Force? Finn? Finn, yeah.
Kylo Ren?
No, Finn.
Finn.
Finn,
actually, he's
soldier.
been doing that pretty much since the episode 7.
I don't remember that.
Little hints. He'll notice something. I guess you would consider him like an adept. So he can't wield the Force, but he can sense it. He can sense it being used. Okay, when it comes to the parallels, like with Star Wars.
I need to watch those again.
Hold on.
Then.
Like with Star Wars, in the original trilogy, Han Solo had no Force capabilities at all. But he could sense through the Force what was going on with Leia, for example. He could sense if something was up. It was almost borderline like a spidey sense.
I need to watch them all again because I
watch through it, and you'll see that Han Solo is actually proves that he's a bit of a Force adept, just like Finn is in this trilogy. And it's one of those parallels, one of those callbacks, right down to the Ewoks.
Oh God.
The entire audience laughed on this one because it was so blatant. And the best part is the Ewoks have been Baby Yoda-ized. I don't know if you remember what the Yoda.
You gotta bring up the Baby Yoda.
What the Ewoks look like in Return of the Jedi. Their eyes are a lot bigger in this one, and their ears are a little more pronounced. So don't tell me that part wasn't added in the last 7 weeks. Anyway, so I'm going to say give it a try. I give it a thumbs up. Chris, you give it a thumbs up.
Thumbs up.
Gives it a thumbs up. About half tempted to give all of Star Wars fingers up, but till next time, I'm Spike.
And I'm Chris.
Go Chris over there. We'll see you next time on Geeking Out. Now you know. See y'all. See you later, y'all.